I'm sure we all know what occurred this morning. My personal opinion is that you all know where I stand on this. Do I think justice was served? No. Where do I think justice is? I think this city is still owed an apology.
On financial costs, this $10,000 doesn't even come close to what the city spent in resources to actually look over the camera, gather all the data, gather all the information that actually brought the indictment by the grand jury. To then use those very laws and the principles and values behind the Matthew Shepard hate crimes legislation to self-promote your career. Now this casts a shadow of whether they're telling the truth, and he did this all in the name of self-promotion.
Welcome back to Andrew Says. Thanks for joining me. By now you've heard of Jussie Smollett. Fake hate crime, no hate crime. Now he's getting off of all the charges for what seems to be a curious case of knowing the Obamas will get you off from a fake hate crime, because now there's text messages that have been dropped, leaked, whatever you want to call it, between the state attorney and Michelle Obama's former chief of staff. So there's text messages there. You can find the link to that in the description. There's not much to the text messages themselves. It's more the story and the impending investigation around that. Another thing I want to touch before we get into this is people are saying I'm saying a boot or about. I don't even know. People have been saying this for a couple of years. Not many people, but some people. About a boot. I don't get it. So the charges were supposed to be for aggravated assault and possibly a hate crime. But now, since the hate crime was seen to be a hoax, the charges against Smollett are breach of the peace. Okay, so they released the police reports, and they're hilarious. They're wild. They reveal some of the best evidence I've ever heard of. So the first piece of evidence I want to talk to you about is the check that he gave them. He paid them in a check for this for this ordeal, $3,500. But Smollett says no. I paid him $3,500 because he's my personal trainer. So these two guys, they're both personal trainers. The one says he's only got 2 clients. One of them is Smollett. And the other one says he's got 11 clients. But none of them pay him. They're all on a free trial basis. So the first guy who says Smollett's his client says he's got the 2 clients, and he charges clients anywhere between $20 to $50. So let's assume he charges Smollett $50 an hour. That's 70 hours of workout sessions that he's just now paying for conveniently around the same time this fake crime started to happen. So he's getting trained for 70 hours without paying him. The next piece of evidence is a $100 bill Jussie Smollett gave them. He gave them a $100 bill to buy all the things related to this fake hate crime. So he gives them the bill. These 2 guys are on camera going into the store. They're buying masks. They're buying wool caps. They're buying gloves. They're buying sunglasses, and they're buying red hats, which are supposed to double as the MAGA hats, obviously. So they buy all this on the camera with the $100 bill that Smollett gave them. And then this is where it starts to get funny. Okay, so I'm going to read this directly for you. Right off the police report again, okay? Both subjects walked to a silver Mercedes. A few minutes later, the vehicle attempts to back out of the parking space it was parked in while they were inside the store. It appears to become stuck. Subject exits the passenger side of the vehicle and begins to push. An unknown citizen parked next to them assists them in backing out. So this is the worst crime I've ever heard of, okay? So not only do they take the money he gave them directly and go buy all this stuff, as if none of that's suspicious already. We're buying we're buying masks and gloves and hats and sunglasses. This isn't a crime. And then they go into their fancy car and they immediately get stuck, and somebody has to help them push their car out of the parking spot. So this is already the worst execution of any fake crime that's ever happened. The next piece of evidence is a El Yucateco bottle of hot sauce. I've never heard of this. I haven't seen this on any episodes of Hot Ones. Maybe some hot sauce fans can help me out. So they emptied out this bottle of hot sauce and filled it with bleach. Why a hot sauce bottle? I'm not sure. They filled it with bleach to pour on Smollett. The next piece of evidence is the video and still images of Jussie Smollett's car that they showed the witnesses, in this case the 2 guys that helped him, in order to identify if it was his car. And of course, All they had to do is they went around to the surrounding areas, got the footage, and found that it was his car. Found the car that was on tape, dropping these guys off, and then just found out that it was his car. Like, so here's the story of what actually happened. Jussie Smollett, before doing this fake hate crime, he goes to their house, picks them up directly from in front of their house, goes to where they do the hate crime, or where they fake it, drops them off, and then right after, goes around the back. I'm not familiar with the streets of Chicago. You can read this in the police report if you want. But he goes around and picks them up in an alleyway and takes them back home. Dude, did he want to get caught? This is what I'm starting to think now, is that maybe he wanted to get caught, and he was thinking the fame that he would get from this is still worse. This backlash, maybe they told him he would get off from the charges anyways. So maybe he just thought the fame from all this would get people to watch Empire and keep him on the show. I don't know. It's starting to be suspiciously stupid, okay? You're giving people a check. You're giving them a crisp $100 bill. They're going out and buying all these supplies. Getting stuck there, by the way. Austin Powersing their way, trying to back out. And apparently you thought this was going to work. You go and pick them up and drop them off like they're coming to and from school. So throughout all this, they had a search warrant as well, which... They found $20 in a safe. They confiscated that. Very good. And a lot of this police report talks about how they have to avoid the media. They try going into the hotels. They try going into the bank. They have to go through all these different places to try to gather video evidence and a copy of the check. But they're doing this all by avoiding media. Jussie Smollett turned himself in at 5 a.m. to avoid the media. So I don't know what's going on. But what happens next? It looks like... the mayor's obviously not happy, the chief of police. It looks like that somebody got this guy off, because with no charges, now they're saying what he did is he did, I think, 30-something hours of community service with Jesse Jackson's organization, where he went to some center and he passed out some pamphlets and he talked about things, and, 30 hours of community service. That's cool. He committed a federal crime by mailing a fake hate letter to himself, tried to pretty much ruin the country. These things piling on top of each other are ruining how people get along in the United States of America. So I don't know what's going to happen next. Let me know in the comments what you think should happen, and then I'll read them, and I'll try not to say the word about ever again.